Then you'll go exit through the middle doors to get your cereal box. Everybody that's in here will get one, so no pushing, no shoving, no name calling, please, unless they're nice names. And if you need a little box to put your cereals in, like we had up here a second ago, they will be for sale out there for $10, I believe they are. So this is going to be pretty interesting. And then after this, 5 o'clock, if you want to come and trade and any extra cereal boxes that we have, we'll just line up out, and just like a normal panel we will, come in, and as long as we have boxes, you can keep coming through. There's not very many boxes left, but you can do some trading amongst yourselves and hopefully finish some sets for you. Until then, we're going to have the question answered for us: is this the end of Star Wars collecting? We have Martin Thurn, Isaac Lev, Ellen Hope, Mark Salati, and a new guy that I just met, Charlie Marcus. So you're the new guy now. All right, guys, take it away. End of Star Wars collecting.
Thank you, Duncan. Well, it all comes down to this. Hi, everybody. I do more than just direct traffic and give out cereal boxes. Objective analysis of many collecting hobbies has shown that they all follow a predictable evolution from their beginnings through healthy times and eventually their disappearance. And experts have even identified specific warning signs of endangered hobbies that indicate that they're close to their demise. Is Star Wars collecting any different? Do these warning signs apply to our beloved hobby? Are there other factors working for or against the Star Wars collecting hobby? What does the future hold for us? If you attended the collecting panels at Celebration 3 5 years ago, you may know that I'm a bit of a pessimist and kind of critical of many things. So I knew I could not do this panel by myself. So I've assembled a multi-generational, multinational panel to help me. And we've all grown from bald-faced boys to balding men. Well, most of us anyway. But our wisdom and knowledge in the hobby has grown as well. My name is Martin Thurn. In 1977, I was 12 years old. Obviously, fell in love with Star Wars immediately. Wanted to buy everything. But I quickly realized that was going to be impossible. So I became a meta collector. I've been collecting information about Star Wars collectibles for 33 years. And so I've had my finger on the pulse of the hobby ever since it started. I've been active on the internet for, 25 years now, I guess. And I'm now the president of the Washington, D.C. Area Collecting Club. And the panel I have assembled is...
My name is Isaac Lev. I wasn't born when Star Wars came out, so I represent the young generation. I was born in 1984. I'm 25 years old. I've been involved with collecting seriously for the past 10 years or so, mostly concentrating on the vintage line. I've participated in the collecting tracks for the last few celebrations. I used to work for Cloud City Collectibles, for those of you that know it, and I really enjoy talking about Star Wars collecting. And so when Martin came to me with this idea, I was really excited to talk about it, because I really think that there's a lot for the younger collectors who weren't necessarily born when the trilogy came out, and I think that they play a big part in the collecting community. So that's what I'm here to talk about.
Hi there. My name is Ellen Hogue. I'm from Alberta, Canada. I was born in 72, so I was 5 when Star Wars came out. I guess I grew up as a not necessarily a collector, although a lot of us like to consider ourselves collectors when we were children. I played with the toys. I never, saved any in packages. I did save the card backs. And really the rebirth for me of, into actual collecting, I guess you could say, was in 91, shortly after the Dark Empire comics, when the Heir to the Empire Thrawn trilogy came out. That's what reignited my passion for Star Wars. Scoured every garage sale, every toy shop, comic shop, bought anything I could find. And then as more merchandise came out, the modern collectibles, got into those. The internet was, a big part of, rekindling my enthusiasm as well. So transitioned back more into the vintage, just so that, I could reconnect with my childhood, I guess. But fortunately for me, I have children. I have a 10-year-old son named Harrison, and on behalf of Harrison Ford. Through my children, I guess, I'm reliving my childhood a little bit as well. It's their choice what they want to play with, but, if they want Star Wars, there's usually no question that Daddy's going to get it, so.
Now it's on. My name is Mark Zalotti. I'm from Australia. I was born in 1971, so that makes me about 6 when the Star Wars movie came out. I guess I was a bit of a weird kid. I never really played with anything. I just displayed everything, kept all the boxes, and I always had things on display, never at all played with anything, so it's very strange. I'm mostly here to make sure that Charlie behaves appropriately and to administer any first aid and medication he requires. I collect, and now I've pretty much continued collecting since, I would say, about 79. I never really stopped, even in the dark times, because I guess product was so late released in Australia and was on shelves for a long time. There was, even in the dark times here, when there was very little new product, there was still a lot on shelves, and we were just slower at catching on to things. So I guess I always stuck with it.
My name's Charlie Marcus, and I was 30 when Star Wars came out, so I immediately became the old guy in our club. Now I've collected just about everything they've ever made, ever bought. I spent all my money on Star Wars and dogs. And I have since had to whittle down my collection and focus on to what it is I want to collect, and we'll talk about that in our presentation, so we'll figure that out later on.
Thanks, guys. So in order to objectively analyze whether this is the end of Star Wars collecting, we have to define what is Star Wars collecting. So are we talking about true completist, vintage versus modern, character focus? Well, you can slice and dice Star Wars collecting along so many dimensions. We could be here all day talking about just that. And besides, they're not even exclusive of each other, so there's people out there who could be any combination of these. But what is actually more important than defining Star Wars collecting is not what you collect, but who you are and how you collect. So Star Wars collectors come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and all that stuff. Who here is a Star Wars collector? Raise your hand. Hopefully everybody, right? Well, we have...
The question is, who is not? What are you doing here? Moral support, that's what I'm saying. Never mind, sorry.
But we have to do this, like I said, we're doing this scientifically. So it's time for audience participation. Okay, now, if you're a Star Wars collector, stand up. Yeah, go ahead, guys. Okay, if you collect Star Wars action figures, sit down. All right. At all. Cool. If you collect something besides action figures and vehicles, stand up. All right. It's probably back to where we started, but that's all right. Keeping you all on your toes. If you have not bought anything on the secondary market in the last 5 years, sit down. In other words, if all your collecting has been done by buying stuff at retail stores, sit down. Okay, I'm surprised, to be honest. If you have sold or traded anything in the last 5 years, stand up. Well, no, you don't have to be eliminated. You just go ahead and stand up.
I just got tired.
It's not elimination. It's still going to keep going.
Make sure you don't break a hip over there, Chuck.
If you already have a plan for what happens to your collection when you're gone, stand up. Now, you don't have to sit down. If you are already standing up, you can stay standing. Well, and if you've even thought about what happens to your collection when you're gone, go ahead and stand up. All right. Now, if you have never listened to a Star Wars collecting podcast, sit down. All right. If you are active on Rebel Scum forums or any other Star Wars collecting forums, stand up.
We just wanted to stand up and sit down. Work off all that cereal. That's right. That's right.
Okay, if you're an active member of a Star Wars collecting club, stand up. Now, you don't have to sit down. If you're already standing, stay standing. Did I screw it up by not saying that at the beginning? Oh well. Okay, so now I submit to you that all of you who are remaining standing are the true Star Wars collectors. And if you were standing up at some point, but you ended up sitting down, your Star Wars collecting fandom may be in danger. So pay attention. So as I said in the introduction, we're going to be talking about warning signs that have been definitely shown to indicate the endangerment of a collecting hobby. Some are pretty simple, some are a little bit more complicated, so let's dive right in. I don't think there's any way of knowing the total number of Star Wars collectors in the world, but the expert analysis of these warning signs shows that a hobby is in danger of extinction when there are fewer than 50 total collectors. And obviously we're nowhere near that small. So our hobby's safe along those lines. Similarly, there's no way of knowing the total number of major Star Wars collectors. And if we tried, we could probably get a pretty good estimate, but it would depend on our definition of a major collector. But back to the objectively observed warning signs. A hobby is in danger of extinction when there are fewer than 10 major collectors. And again, I think we can all agree, no matter what your definition of major collector is, we're nowhere near that small number. But in light of these numbers that I've just thrown out, right now we are not endangered. But it's important to talk about why these numbers might decrease over time. That's what gives us a real valuable insight into our hobby. So let's talk about some reasons why collectors leave the hobby.
So collectors, leaving the hobby, it could be a variety of reasons. Sometimes it can be a personal choice. They're having a change in lifestyle.